Hi everyone and welcome to Certified Confident. Today we're talking about Princess Polly's B Corp certification and the backlash that followed. This podcast is about honest conversations and what real change in fast fashion looks like. Princess Polly podcast. Our first guest is Ambrose, a leading sustainability voice from Amsterdam. Thank you for joining us and we'd love to hear your perspective on the situation.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, for our listeners who may not fully understand, what is B Corp certification actually measures?
B Corp is a certificate that's usually given to sustainable brands across the globe. And it usually measures the company's impact. It's not regarding the social, but of course the environmental and the tracking structure from supply chain and community. So it kind of covers up the whole atmosphere and community of a company and see how it's responsible to the industry, I would say, that they are operating in.
Oh, that's great. I think it's an amazing explanation. So Princess Polly earned an 86 and 8, which was just above the threshold of 80. What does that score indicate about the brand's current stage in their sustainability journey?
So, of course, let's start with the statement that not all brands can be 100% sustainable. That's impossible with the current timeline we're in. And the point that Princess Polly has received, it's kind of meets the standard and show them that they're, let's say, in a positive practice in the industry they operate in. And of course, they're in their early stages. So far, they're doing good, I would say. And yeah, that's a sign for them that they're making an impact and effort to make change within the industry. So yeah, it's a positive beginning for them.
So, in your opinion, why did the public react so strongly when the brand announced its certification? Why was the backlash?
A lot of people don't really understand the context of sustainability. They think when a brand gets certified, it's, how do you call it, like 100% green. They're even creating a greener impact and a socially impact that, let's say, they're kind of a Make-A-Wish Foundation. They just do a 360 change. But that's not really true. And yeah, that's a misunderstanding for the public. But in general, fast fashion and sustainability are quite on the different spectrums. But there is a chance that they could get certified. And yeah, if there is, let's say, a mismatch and that creates like a buzz to the public, it just means that the brand is now taking a different approach and their consumers are not ready for it. I can list a lot of other brands that have claimed that they are B Corp or they got the certificate, but people were like, oh, but how are they sustainable? But in the regards, before any company go through the process, they have to make sure that the boxes are fully checked. If one is missing, they don't get the certification, and then they have to do a reevaluation in another year. So I say that it's quite a critical process, and this is on like the judgment should come from industry experts, not the main consumers, because they don't really know what happens in the office side of a company.
So when a fast fashion brand like Princess Polly faces this kind of criticism regarding sustainability, what do you think are the most important steps to take forward to rebuild trust with the public?
I think they should have a starting campaign where they explain their past and their current situation, why they became certified at B Corp, and what is their future. I can also mention for you a company that we all know and might have bought clothes from, H&M. They're not B Corp certified yet, but they operate on a sustainable level
Yeah.
using their cottons and making sure that they pay their workers fairly. It's not the end of the word that, yeah, you lose trust with your audience, but it's a way to educate them that change happens. And of course, the fashion industry is the most polluting industry around the globe. So we need to make change. And previously, brands depended on the consumers and how they react because they're the main power, let's say. But now they're taking things into their own hands and saying, okay, if the consumers is not ready for change, we will take the change upon ourselves. And if they want to continue with us on the journey, then they can stay. But if they fall out, then that means their values are not aligning with the company anymore. So they don't really have to explain to them why they did the choice, but they have to educate them about their vision, their future vision.
So, from your perspective, can big fashion companies genuinely change, undergoing some kind of backlash? What does meaningful change like this look in practice for you?
So let's say when a fast fashion company want to take change, of course, they're global, so that means their logistical / supply chain will be difficult to manage, but they can take small steps that kind of make it up towards the bigger impact they can create. For, let's say, a lot of the fast fashion companies have waste, the unsold goods. Maybe they can send those to recycling facilities and then create new garments. Of course, that doesn't help the problem, but that's the solution. Maybe they can decrease their amount of production in the next step. And the third step could be looking for cleaner certified material. And then they can go to looking at the employees, the workers who are picking up the cotton, weaving the fabric, producing the garment. And then they can go to the dye. So it's more of a complex process that cannot be solved within one day. It takes a lot of effort. And fast fashion companies do not have sustainable managers yet. They're still getting
Yes.
onto. But in the end, sustainability arose up within the past 15, 20 years. So it's not that old that people have a structure to rely on. So we're still learning across the process. And then we also have to look at the other side of the industry where currently we're in a phase where the sustainable fashion is crumbling. Sorry, the fashion industry is crumbling as a general, both sustainable and fast. The fast is not making profit. The sustainable is not able to move and expand their horizon. So either we come and help each other in this process or we will be doomed in the future. Because recycling factories cannot operate on creating the new recycled material because fast fashion companies are not disclosing about the full recipe of their t-shirts or material. Because, yeah, it looks like cotton, but when you look at it, there's a lot of elastine or polyester and other materials in it. And a lot of times they don't mention the small percentage that can affect the recyclability process. So we're in a dilemma right now. We're like just floating around with ideas. But of course, we have to move with each other to create this impact, and the fast fashion companies can create it if they look at the long-term impact, like their long-term vision, or they can create. Yeah. Otherwise, if they're just going to think about profit, yeah, but I don't think with the upcoming it's going to create them that profit anymore. With that, they have to pay for their waste, that they have to pay for imports, that they have to pay. Now, law is pushing them to create change.
That's a
And
very
this is what we
That's a very interesting insight. Well,
thank you.
hearing all of this, what do you think? What would you like our listeners to keep in mind as they navigate this sustainability claims, this new gen of sustainability in 2025?
So when it comes to the sustainable claims, I think we should look at the overall picture and not look at one side, because as I told you, people think, if you're sustainable, you're 100% green. Doesn't happen. Doesn't exist. That's in like fairyland. We have to wait 100 years till we can accomplish this. But what they have to look is the solution that the company has provided and the return impact on the industry they operate in. They should look about the back structure and learn the solution provided can remove a certain point that has damaged hundreds of thousands of people in the industry.
Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think our listeners will be very interested to hear something like this from a sustainability expert, especially regarding the fast fashion industry that might feel a bit controversial. So thank you, Ambrose, for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure on your podcast.
And for our listeners, stay tuned for our next episode as we continue exploring what meaningful change in this industry looks like. Princess Polly Podcast. Stay certified confident.